Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm taking a look at the Tuffy Security Products Center Console Security Insert fitting 2019 and newer Ram 1500s, excluding the Limited and Longhorn models. If you've got valuables to protect and want some extra peace of mind while you're out on the trails or in daily life, this is going to be a great option for you. Featuring easy installation, some cool features, and an affordable price, this is a great way to keep your stuff safe without a ton of fuss. If you find yourself in unfamiliar areas or job sites frequently, or even just in day-to-day life, having an additional locking storage space inside of your truck will not go amiss. Now this one from Tuffy Security Products utilizes your existing center console, and it makes it quite a bit more secure. Now this isn't going to make everything totally bank vault safe, so use it wisely, but it will make it just that much more difficult for a would-be thief to get in and grab what you've got stashed. Now there are a few clever tricks included here to make a potential thief's job difficult should they try them. First, and perhaps most obvious, is that this is a locking lid. Now you get 2 keys included, and that lock utilizes a 10-tumbler double-bitted design. It is also weather sealed right around the edges here. Now that said, you're not likely to get this wet inside of your truck, but it is a nice feature to have. Now the key is used to open up the lid, so you just turn it and pull that open, and the key can only be removed once the lock is back in the closed position. Now the lid does include a little support right here. It's going to keep it from slamming down on you while you're fishing out what you need, and the hinge uses a pin lock design that's going to help keep things secure. Now the lock here is sunken into the lid as well, meaning that your console lid can slide right over top with ease, provided you've removed that key, of course. Now having this installed is going to give you 400 cubic inches of lockable storage space. So whether it's sensitive documents, your wallet, or anything else that you might want out of the way of prying eyes, you're going to have space for it with this. The whole thing is made using heavy-duty 1/8 inch thick 16 gauge welded steel components, and everything is finished off with this nice textured black powder coating. So especially since this lives inside of your truck, it should last you a long time. Now the pry guard system, which you can see right in here, doesn't have a way to get really underneath that lid, and all the other features that we also discussed means that this thing is quite secure, so it accomplishes exactly what it sets out to do. Pricing comes in at about $250, which is pretty good as far as locking console options go. Now this isn't a full-on safe, obviously this is pretty much just a lid, but it gets you to about the same place, and it preserves that precious cargo space as well. So for that, I think it's pretty tough to argue with. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter and should only take you about 30 minutes to complete. Now there is a bit of drilling you need to do in order to get this installed, to get everything where it needs to be, but it's nothing too involved and you can easily accomplish this job at home. Here to show you how, in fact, is one of our AT customers.
All right, tools used. They say a 5/32 hex wrench, 7/16 end wrench, Phillips screwdriver, drill, and an 1/8 inch bit, which is optional, and a knife, which is optional. I like the adjustable open end. I got a 7/16 wrench and the Phillips head screwdriver, which is now my drill, with a short bit because it's going to be a very tight location that we're going to be drilling in. And these are the only tools. The knife you don't need, that's for the bag. You can open that up with your hands. All right. So this is the first step you got to do before going to move it into your vehicle. You got to open these up as if it's installed. That's how it's going to be when it's installed in the vehicle. And then what they want you to do, they want you to take this guy, right, which is like a hexagon tip, your plastic nut, and you have 2 plastic washers, one on each side of the support bar. They want the bolt going from the inside out, so that would be 1 washer. Stick it through. Another washer, and then your hex nut with the plastic thread on it. I'm going to use my impact gun and my adjustable wrench, and I just snug her up. Now they do say over time that the friction is going to reduce, and this will become easier to just fall closed when you open it, so you just crank that down a little bit more when you find that happening, and you're right back where you were. So that's step 1. pretty straightforward. They say when you go to install, you want to close this back up as if it's in the shipping position so that these don't get in the way when you're trying to slide it into place. For this step, you're only going to need your drill and 6 of these self-tapping, self-drilling screws, about 3/4 of an inch. And that's really it for inside the vehicle. They say that you can cut the rubber mat inside if you want. I don't think it's necessary, but we'll see when we start to try to put this in. It's going to be a little bit of a tight video to show, but we'll do our best to get the right angle. All right, as you can see, it's tight. So they want you to close these in. All right, now lift this up. All right, that's your little divider that has all the different generations of rams. You lift this up, and this you're gonna have to slide in on the angle, just like this. And you're gonna get into that position. Now, you gotta make sure you have the key available to open it up after it's in. Make sure you take that out before you put it into position. You wanna hold this so that you can open it. And you gotta open the lid. See how much friction there is? That's gonna eventually, they say that's gonna loosen, so you gotta just pay attention to that. So you fold that piece down in the back, fold this piece down in the front. And then you set it down into place. Now, if you want, they say you can pre-drill these holes, but with these, I don't think that's really necessary. I mean, they got a good tip on them, so I think it will install pretty easily. Now, you don't want too big of a gap here, because it's going to be very difficult to get a drill in with a long nose. So get as skinny of a hole as a tip as you can get. See, I even need smaller for the back ones. Like, that's too long, so I'm gonna have to get a real shallow tip. But for this one, I can do the front. Get your light, drill it straight down. Now I'm using an impact, so I go slow. Slow and steady always wins the race. Yeah, I don't think the pre-drilling of the holes is really that necessary. These things are going right in. No problem whatsoever. The only ones that are gonna give me trouble are the back ones. And last but not least, on the front. Okay, 3 front ones. I mean, this thing's solid. Solid as can be. Now, if you can see back here, you got 2 really low ones, and they're down very low. So the angle of the drill, you need a real short distance. So I'll be right back with the right bit. All right, after some hunting, reduced it by about a solid inch. But even still, it's still gonna be on a slight angle when you drill it in. All right, and even if you pre-drilled these holes, it's really not gonna make a difference. So you just get it set as best you can, slightly angle the screw. Consistent pressure, it pulls itself in flat, so it's really not that bad. See, what you want to do is flip this one around this way, coming from another angle. It's pretty tight, gotta say. I have to figure out the right angle to... And that's it, folks. It's in. Difficulty of installation, I'm gonna say, 2. That's it. I mean, reduces your depth a lot. Don't mind the mess. But if you need to secure valuables, cash, anything that you might be transporting that you don't want anybody to get to, I mean, solid. I mean, quick demonstration of it in use. Key, use the key. You got to use the key to pull. It's a pretty stiff cover when you lock that down, but I mean, you could fit a full drill in with room to spare and lock it back down. Now the drill does come into play the cover of this latch. So anything of size, you got to keep it away from this latch. Is the latch necessary to hold it open? Sure, but if you're not worried about that, you could take this latch, flip it up. It doesn't come into play at all then. But that's, you know, that's up to each person. But it's really, I mean, you don't get more straightforward than that. I like it.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the Tuffy Security Products Center Console Security Insert fitting 2019 and newer Ram 1500s, excluding the Limited and Longhorn models. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, for all things Ram, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.